And it's crazy to think when you say genetic, and I went back to like the ancestry, it's like all the fucking everything on this planet is one family. That's insane. The trees, like a banana, a fucking mouse. Like there was a fucking meteor busted this fucking planet, rang it like a bell for like 100 years or something stupid like that. I don't know what the real story is. And then like some mouse somewhere was like, what the fuck happened? And that's our dad or something like that's our great times a million.
Yeah, because we're here. That's the only reason that connection's there is because we're alive.
Yeah, unless you believe in aliens coming in.
Yeah, then that's a whole other discussion.
But then they probably they still used what was here.
Well, yeah, they had to use the organic material that they found. But that's what's so wild is that we're here today, and like, if you really think about it's actually nauseating to think of how far back your DNA code goes.
It wrinkles the brain, man. You have to stop and like, I'm reluctant to use the word meditate, but like you find that space where you can visualize like at length and still kind of hold a reference to what you were thinking about before. I love doing that with like material. Like imagine if you go down long enough, the time, but like far enough or deep enough, like to this table, you could like zoom in, and eventually it's like there's space in between the particles or in between the atoms. Like that takes a second. You're like, huh? What? Like you're touching this
That's a really
table.
hard one to wrap your head around.
And it's the same thing. It's like there's no space between that fucking weird rodent and us in a way. Yeah. We're like this tentacle through time. Whoa. And it's long AF.
Yeah, I'm just picturing like you're zooming in through the timeline until you get to like single-celled organisms, and it's pretty much just space, and then these organisms hit each other, and then they eventually form into an actual physical being.
Something that, and for some reason, like one of those eventually like functions well, and like they become like specific cells. One's like, oh, okay, you're gonna help us move around, I'm gonna help us digest. And then like one's like, I can kind of like sense light. And they're like, cool, that might be useful later. I don't know.
You're talking millions of years of trial and error too, though.
And they're not talking like that.
It's just boop, it works, it doesn't.
Bumping into each other.
Just death, rebirth, a million times over till they finally got a solid particle that eventually probably died, and they had to restart until it finally worked.
That was a funny thing. I hope that kind of dies in in the next generation, because a lot of people don't even understand how evolution works. You know, like there is adaptation and epigenetics, and it does affect the next generation, but that's nothing. That is not what we're talking about. Like, it's literally just accident upon accident. And you need to watch like a 30-minute YouTube video that shows you why like a river might have split a fucking group of monkeys, and then like one might evolve like over hundreds of thousands of years to, it just has this predisposition because of random genetic events, and then the offspring are going to be more likely to survive because of the environment. It just takes so much time to explain how much time it takes for evolution to work.
I'm only realizing now, I'm starting to really understand it, and I've been learning about this for a long time now, and I'm like, I see it in day-to-day life. I'm like, wow, okay. It's like, it's really a long fucking process, and it's a lot of mutation, death, rebirth, adaptation, mutation.
It's like luck, but luck like doesn't matter if you have infinite time. So you just kind of like, it's this Plinko thing just finds its way.
That's it. And there is no time. We're just creating that timeline, but it's happening and it's working, and eventually it's going to work.
Yeah.
But, you know.
How did we get here? Weren't we talking about beatboxing a second ago?